Okay, so this is something that I'm actually really excited for. This is the new Steam Deck OLED, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this thing. Like, as you all know, I've been... Where did I put my knife? Okay, looks like a knife isn't gonna do. As you all know, I've been a huge fan of the ROG Ally and the original Steam Deck, and my biggest complaint with the original Steam Deck was the screen. So the fact that they've actually fixed this, put an put an OLED display on it, increased the refresh rate, and also changed up a couple of other things, that alone kind of makes this look like a way better value for the Steam Deck. Not only is it kind of, you know, fixing the concerns that I had, but for the price point, I think that it makes way more sense now. So of course, when it comes to Valve, inside this shipping box, all you're gonna get is the Steam Deck itself and the charging brick. So I'm gonna pull the Steam Deck out of this case and then this charging brick. So these are the two things that you get in the box, nothing crazy right here. It's a Steam Deck OLED. Of course, Valve, what they like to do is ship this thing inside of the actual like bag that it comes with, which is a really, cool way to cut down on like cardboard, but also really nice that it comes with this because, you know, not all of these handhelds and whatnot come with a carrying case. It's something that you have to buy extra, and it's just something nice that they do. I really appreciate it. So this is the 512 gig model. This doesn't come with the 2-part carrying case, and this isn't the special edition model that comes with the transparent shell. Unfortunately, I think that one would be really cool, but it was sold out. And I think now is a good time to mention that this isn't my Steam Deck. This is actually my cousin Dylan's. The reason why I'm opening it is because he's letting me, and he's also living here for a little bit. So we're gonna make some content about it. He's gonna help me out with some videos, and I would love to do a comparison between this and the ROG Ally. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slide this thing off here. Try not to rip it open the way that they tell you to, just in case he wants to resell it or something in the future. So one thing that I like about this bag immediately is that there's this like pouch right here. And I actually use that pouch for this cable. Got another tool now, we got scissors. I actually use that pouch for this cable right here, and it just sits nicely inside of there. Easy to carry around. It is pretty bulky though with it, but at least you do have a place to put it, which is pretty nice. Now this cable, of course, Type-C USB charger, and you cannot, unfortunately, remove it from this little power brick. Kind of sucks that, you know, Valve does that, but at the same time, it's just a cable, so not really gonna complain about it. It is also, I believe, an extra meter longer than the one that came with the Steam Deck before. So that's really nice. I think it's 2.5 meters instead of 1.5. So always a bonus when you get better things. And then of course, this case now has a little orange circle rather than a blue one, indicating that this is a special case for the OLED. And it has like a nice like white exterior. So first impressions, let's go. Put this case aside. With the Steam Deck OLED, okay, I'm noticing a couple of things immediately that I actually really like. So these analog sticks are no longer like gray in the center, and they're black. And they also look a little different from what I remember. They actually feel a lot better. One problem that I had with the Steam Deck was that the analogs were pretty slippery, so I always had to throw a grip on it. Unfortunately, that's just how it was. So these definitely do have some more grip, which is really nice. And I'm hoping the dead zones are a little bit better on these, because it's one thing that I didn't really like about the original Steam Deck. But yeah, right out of the gate, that feels a lot better. Buttons feel the same compared to the ROG Ally though. The buttons on the Steam Deck are definitely a lot more clicky, whereas the ROG Ally is definitely more mushy. I would say out of the two, I actually really like the analogs on here. They feel definitely a little bit more substantial. They do seem like they're a little taller, and the placement, I'll never get over like the Steam Deck placement, to be completely honest, because I think it's quite weird having like your ABXY right beside to make way for these track pads. It's not something that I've always felt was like the most comfortable, but I have dealt with it before. And then yes, so this is the back of the system. You get 4 paddles on the back versus the 2 on the Ally. That isn't any like dissimilar to the original Steam Deck though. But one thing that Valve has done with the Steam Deck OLED is the screw posts now go into metal rather than screwing into the plastic chassis, which is really nice. Thank God they did that, because after you take apart your Steam Deck once or twice, those screws are almost gone. Like, they just chew it up and it's not good at all. So if you want to replace the back plate on this thing, that is a good thing to have, especially if you're going to be upgrading the SSD. So another thing, the power button is orange. I mean, I don't know if I like this like orange and black color scheme that they went with this version, but the transparent one definitely has more orange like in the thumbsticks. Let's go ahead and turn it on though, because I am really excited to see the difference between the OLED display, knowing how bad the original Steam Deck display was. So yeah, I'm just powering that up right there. Immediately though, like the black levels on OLED are just unbeatable. It looks like the display is off, which I mean, it technically is because the pixels aren't being lit. Let's go ahead and try to turn on the Ally. So between the two, so the biggest difference is that this display, aside from it being OLED, it's a 16:10 display, so it's a little bit taller. Some games you're gonna put a black border around the top and bottom. That's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Now it's a 7.4-inch display as opposed to 7-inch. The Ally is also 7-inch, it's 16:9 though. The Ally is rocking a 120 Hz LCD display, which I think is pretty good. It has like a 500 nit peak brightness, whatever. This though changes things up a lot because now you're getting a much brighter display. This is up to I think 1000 nits in HDR, which is definitely way better than what we had on the original Steam Deck, because that thing was super dim. And also the colors on this thing are going to pop a lot more. I don't really want to go through like the whole setup, because to download a game and whatever, it'll take literally forever. But the Steam Deck OLED, like this should, I mean, it will make a huge difference to how you're playing, especially if you play outdoors. And another thing that's interesting about this one is while it doesn't have a bigger battery, you're getting a lot more battery life out of it because of a couple of things. So first things first, this is a 90 Hz OLED display. Apparently it is actually 120 Hz. It's just you need to overclock it. Don't know why that's the case, probably to save battery life. And realistically, 90 on a display like this on a handheld is perfectly fine for the games that you're gonna be playing on the Steam Deck. That's besides the point. However, the battery improvements that come from the OLED display are crazy good. Not only is the display more efficient because it doesn't have to run like a backlight 24/7 like something like the ROG Ally or the original Steam Deck, but there's also kind of like a hidden improvement in the fact that this is now a 6nm chip rather than a 7nm chip on the original Steam Deck. So you have kind of a jump in efficiency that is pretty sizable enough to give you like 20 to 30% battery improvement, which for these handhelds, that is a saving grace. Like, I love the Ally so much, and this clearly has been my go-to. It's the only handheld that I own at the moment. However, the biggest problem with the Ally is like if I'm playing Call of Duty at like 25 watts, this thing is sucking battery life and it lasts about an hour. Now, when it comes to high performance games, it's not like the Steam Deck OLED is gonna be a much bigger improvement over the Ally, but I could see it at least doubling the battery life that this thing is giving me. Granted, there are some differences between the two. Like this one is running Linux, which is a lot lighter, and it's way more tailored toward the Steam Deck than this, which is running Windows 11. So that again is another improvement in the battery life. But the actual APU that's inside of the Steam Deck is just a lot better when it comes to performing at those lower TDPs, and it does go lower than the 7 watts of the ROG Ally. So that's one thing to look out for if you plan on buying one of these. The weight overall, it's not too heavy. I'll throw up the actual number on the screen. I don't remember how much it weighs, but it definitely isn't that bad because you have it spread out over such a large surface area. It's not that much bigger than the ROG Ally. Like it's a decent chunk, I'm not gonna lie, but both of them are very comfortable. Like when you hold the Steam Deck, your fingers are immediately resting on these bumpers, and they're just in like the perfect spot. I think that this is one of the most comfortable handhelds. Personally, because my hands are a little bit smaller, I do like how the ROG Ally feels in the hand, but man, this definitely does feel lighter, but I don't think it is. I think the Ally is lighter, it's just that this is more spread out. Now that I hold these two, I'm not entirely sure anymore. You know, one thing like that kind of always makes me really appreciate the Steam Deck is that I really do like the 16:10 aspect ratio. I like that it is taller because there are a lot of games where this is way more beneficial. Like if you're playing some simulators, if you're playing like City Skylines or something like that, it definitely does make more sense to have more vertical screen real estate. For me, when it comes to what I play for the most part, I do like to play games like Call of Duty, for example, and when it comes to COD, those kinds of games just work better on a 16:9 display. And there are actually some games that I do play that don't let you actually scale to a 16:10 aspect ratio, so you do need those black bars. And when it comes to performance, I mean, at lower TDPs, the Steam Deck is going to be better than the Ally, but at the end of the day, the Ally is much better. One benefit that you have when it comes to the ROG Ally, are you making noise in the video? The one benefit that you have with the ROG Ally is that it does run Windows. So when it comes to the games that you want to play, for the most part, they work better on the Ally because it's native. Like, there's no translation layer that's needed. There's no extra optimization that is required by the developers. And when it comes to games that require anti-cheat services like Call of Duty, I can't play that on the Steam Deck without actually downloading Windows or finding some clever workaround. I know that people have done it. I know that it is something that you can do, but it's an extra step. Look how big this toy is that she has. But it's just an extra step, an extra workaround that some people aren't gonna wanna do, and that totally makes sense. But yeah, this is the Steam Deck OLED. I will definitely have a video with my thoughts, you know, in the near future, and I will also be doing a comparison video detailing the actual differences between the Steam Deck OLED and the ROG Ally. So if you wanna see that, go ahead and leave a like down below, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.